Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled at the edge of an ancient forest, there lived a young girl named Red Riding Hood. She was known for her striking red cloak and her innocent demeanor. But beneath that innocent facade was a cunning huntress, skilled in the art of trapping and slaying wolves. The village had long been plagued by these predators, losing livestock and even children to their relentless hunger. Stories of the big bad wolf had become legends, and many lived in fear of venturing too deep into the woods. However, Red Riding Hood had a secret. She had sworn an oath to protect her village and rid the forest of these deadly creatures, using their own predatory instincts against them. Red Riding Hood's grandmother had taught her everything she knew about wolves. She had passed down knowledge of their habits, weaknesses, and how to use silver to kill them. With her grandmother's teachings and her silver-bladed sword, Red Riding Hood became the village's silent protector. One crisp autumn evening, Red set out into the forest. She moved with purpose, her red cloak billowing behind her, a stark contrast to the darkening woods. She knew the wolves were watching her, their eyes glinting in the shadows. She could feel their hunger and their curiosity. She walked along a well-worn path, humming a soft tune, seemingly oblivious to the danger around her. But every step she took was deliberate, every turn part of her plan. She left a trail of breadcrumbs and bits of meat, leading deeper into the forest, towards the traps she had carefully set. It didn't take long for the first wolf to take the bait. A large, black-furred beast with sharp, yellow eyes. It followed the trail, drawn by the scent of fresh meat and the promise of an easy meal. Red Riding Hood allowed it to get close, almost within striking distance, before she quickened her pace. The wolf, emboldened by her apparent fear, lunged forward, only to find itself ensnared in a hidden trap. A net made of iron and silver threads snapped up from the ground, entangling the creature and burning its flesh. It howled in pain and fury, thrashing against its bindings. Red Riding Hood approached the trapped wolf, her eyes cold and calculating. "Did you think I was just a helpless little girl?" she asked, her voice dripping with mock innocence. "You thought you could devour me like you did my friends and family?" The wolf snarled, baring its teeth, but it was no match for her. With a swift, practiced motion, she drew her silver-bladed sword and plunged it into the wolf's heart. The beast let out a final, agonized howl before collapsing, lifeless. News of the first wolf's demise quickly spread through the forest. The remaining wolves, sensing the danger, grew more cautious. But Red Riding Hood was patient. She knew that desperation and hunger would eventually drive them to make mistakes. She continued her nightly excursions, each time setting new traps, each time luring more wolves to their doom. The forest became a battleground, with Red Riding Hood using every trick and tactic at her disposal. She employed snares, pitfalls, and silver-tipped arrows, all designed to exploit the wolves' weaknesses. One night, she encountered a pair of wolves working together. They were cunning, circling her from opposite sides, trying to outflank her. But Red Riding Hood had anticipated such a move. She led them into a narrow ravine, where she had laid a series of traps. As the wolves closed in, she triggered a hidden mechanism. Sharp spikes laced with silver shot up from the ground, impaling one of the wolves. The second wolf, momentarily stunned by its companion's fate, gave her just enough time to draw her sword and finish the job. The wolves' numbers dwindled, but the most dangerous of them all still remained. The Alpha, a massive creature with fur as white as snow and eyes as red as blood. It was said to be the progenitor of the wolf pack, the one responsible for teaching them to hunt humans. Red Riding Hood knew that killing the Alpha would be the final step in eradicating the threat once and for all. She spent weeks preparing, studying the Alpha's movements, and setting up her ultimate trap. It had to be perfect. There would be no second chances. One moonless night, she ventured deeper into the forest than ever before, into the heart of the Alpha's territory. She carried no bait this time, knowing that the Alpha would be drawn to her by its own instincts. She reached a clearing where she had prepared her trap, a circle of silver spikes hidden beneath a layer of leaves and dirt. She stood in the center of the clearing, sword in hand, and called out into the darkness. "Come out, you coward! Face me, if you dare!" For a moment, there was only silence. Then, the Alpha emerged from the shadows, its massive form dwarfing Red Riding Hood. It moved with a predatory grace, eyes locked on her with a mixture of rage and curiosity. Red Riding Hood held her ground, her heart pounding in her chest. She had faced many wolves before, but none like this. The Alpha's presence was overwhelming, its power palpable. But she could not afford to show fear. She tightened her grip on her sword and prepared for the fight of her life. The Alpha circled her, its growls echoing through the clearing. It lunged, and she dodged, leading it closer to the trap. They danced a deadly dance, the Alpha's attacks growing more frenzied as it failed to land a blow. Red Riding Hood fought with precision, her movements calculated to guide the beast into her trap. Finally, the moment came. The Alpha charged at her with a furious roar, and she sidestepped at the last second. The beast's momentum carried it into the hidden circle of silver spikes. It howled in agony as the silver burned its flesh, but it did not die immediately. Red Riding Hood approached the thrashing Alpha, her eyes steely with determination. She raised her sword, its silver blade gleaming in the moonlight. "This is for my family, for my friends, for everyone you've terrorized," she said, her voice unwavering. With a powerful swing, she brought the sword down, severing the Alpha's head from its body. The great beast collapsed, its life extinguished. The forest fell silent, the oppressive presence of the wolves lifted. Red Riding Hood stood over the fallen Alpha, her breath coming in heavy gasps. The hunt was over. She had avenged her loved ones and freed her village from the terror of the wolves. She felt a mixture of relief and sorrow, knowing that her mission was complete but also recognizing the darkness that had grown within her. Red Riding Hood returned to her village a hero, but she did not stay. The forest had changed her, and she no longer fit in with the simple, peaceful life of her village. She donned her red cloak once more and set out into the world, seeking new challenges and new evils to vanquish. She became a legend in her own right, a warrior who fought against the darkness wherever she found it. Tales of the huntress in the red cloak spread far and wide, inspiring others to stand up against the forces of evil. And so, the story of Little Red Riding Hood took on a new meaning. No longer just a tale of a young girl and a wolf, it became a legend of courage, cunning, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Red Riding Hood's legacy lived on, a reminder that even the darkest of times could be overcome by the light of bravery and determination. Years passed, and Red Riding Hood's story became a beacon of hope for many. Young warriors and hunters sought her out, wishing to learn from the legendary huntress. She taught them all she knew, passing on her skills and her knowledge, ensuring that the world would always have defenders against the darkness. In time, she grew old, but her spirit remained as fierce as ever. She watched with pride as her students carried on her legacy, hunting down the creatures that threatened the innocent. The forest, once a place of terror, became a training ground for those who sought to protect the weak and the vulnerable. And though Red Riding Hood eventually passed into legend, her name was never forgotten. The villagers still told stories of the girl in the red cloak who had saved them from the wolves, and her spirit lived on in the hearts of those who continued her fight. For as long as there were monsters in the world, there would be those who followed in the footsteps of Little Red Riding Hood, the huntress who turned the tables on the predators and brought peace to the land.